Disclaimer. We are two regular guys who love to talk Bone Thugs and Harmony. We do not represent Bone Thugs or any Bone affiliate. We are also not Bone Thugs experts. The views and information you hear in this podcast may be based on personal opinion. Please feel free to leave corrections and clarifying information in the comments. And enjoy. What's up, y'all? Once again, it's Beyond the Harmony. BeyondTheHarmony.com. I am Cecil West with the one and only
John Lippy.
And we're back on that Thug Thursday tip to do what we do here. We're going to talk about that Bone Thugs and Harmony. And tonight, I know I always say they're special, but I feel like they're all special. John, tell them what the fuck we're doing tonight.
Tonight, we have Mo Hart from Poetic Hustlers on the show with us, Beyond the Harmony.
Mo Hart from the Poetic Hustlers. We are literally interviewing, Archie, Soulja Boy, Mo Hart, Romeo. I'm like, these are all the fucking guys that I want to talk to so bad. It's like, I hope people know in our position, I'm like a kid in a candy store, man. I'm fucking giddy. These are, every time I get one of these, I'm like, this is a bucket list. This is a checklist. This is a Christmas present. This is all this shit. Like, I'm excited every time. That's why every time I'm like, we got a special one tonight. Because I'm excited about them all.
To have Mo Hart, oh my goodness. And it's also Mo Hart of the Night Riders as well, not to leave them out. And Mo Hart of Mo Thugs.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, I had a very enjoyable time doing some research for this, just kind of rekindling my memories, fond memories, especially listeners of the show. I don't know if all of our episodes have come out yet, but I've always talked about how much I love the Trials and Tribulations album by Poetic Hustlers. And as I re-listened to it again yesterday, I realized I'm going to up it. It's a perfect album. There's not one bad song on it. I went through it thinking there was like one or two. I didn't find one. I was trying to figure out which ones did I not like. They're all good. Every one. And their track on Mo Thugs Volume 2, Mo Thuggin' was... I forgot all about that track. That song was awesome too.
It's pretty interesting because, you know, when you talk to Mo Thug fans, right, and you ask about, you know, what your favorite Mo Thug album is... I like the Two True album, but rarely do I hear anybody go, yo, New Breed of Female was my favorite one. I think that's the least known of all the Mo Thug projects, even less than like Graveyard Shift. But I always find it like they either fucking really like Poetic Hustlers and it was just like Graveyard Shift was cool, or they really liked Graveyard Shift and Poetic Hustlers were just, you know, cool. I always see that split. Like you and I, we did the question of the day. We said Poetic Hustlers are our favorite, and there was some weird comments. I'm not gonna say weird. I mean, you know, it's your opinion. It's what you like about music. But I'm just gonna say there were some indifferent comments about how people felt about Trials and Tribulations compared to how we felt. Now, I like Still Waters as well, and sometimes Still Waters is overly hyped to me. I mean, I think it's great, and I think, the thing that makes it so, Romeo's great. You know, I can vibe and see what people saw in Tombstone. I dig Graveyard Shift, but I like the Poetic Hustlers album so fucking much. It's pretty much, to me, it's like Mo Thugs 1, Mo Thugs 2, Poetic Hustlers album. That's the order in which my fucking Mo Thug shit goes. But it seems like that's always the case. It's like, you're either really down with Poetic Hustlers and Graveyard Shift was cool, or Graveyard Shift was like your fucking thing and just Poetic Hustlers was alright. I think Trials and Tribulations is a fucking, production-wise, I guess what, it must be like some of the Poetic Hustler rhymes. But,
you said the lines, the Poetic Hustler lines?
You know, like their rhymes, like I sometimes I read like, some people, didn't feel like it, you know, it was written as well. But I'm always like, well, who the fuck are you comparing it to? You know, like Bone, or like what's the comparison here? Because for, you know, to me, I'm like, bro, that's these guys' first fucking album. Like, listen to this album front to back. That's their first album. That's wild. That's a fucking first album.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying lyrically it's like a 5 mic classic, but as far as just goodness, like if you look at the album, it's like what's bad about it? Nothing. It's 11 tracks, 10 unique ones, and I mean the only thing I could see is if someone was like, well, you know, Time Will Reveal is really on there twice, and we already got Searching for Peace on Mo Thugs Volume 1, but outside that, you're still getting 8 tracks. So
well, yeah, and you know, I mean, here's the thing too, right? Like both Time Will Reveals are different, and I like them both. The acoustic's amazing, but you know, I like them both. The fucking Searching for Peace, man, those are totally different from each other. So I dig both of those as well, you know. It's interesting, yeah. I don't even think they would tell you, hey, you know, yeah, we were fucking 5 mic dropping bars. I don't think that's what the Poetic Hustlers, you know, I don't think that was their thing. Even then, you can tell these are religious dudes. They were street dudes, but you could tell that they, you know, they lived, you know, by the cross, and I mean, I think they delivered that shit. And if you think of the time period where this dropped, bro, so good, man. The visuals fit the time period, the music, amazing. I'm with it.
Yeah, and you know, things along the way as I was going through the Mo Thugs Posse tracks, it never dawned on me, and I know a lot of Bone fans are gonna be like, how did that never dawn on you? But it never dawned on me that Busy Bone was not on Shots to the Double Glock. Did that ever dawn on you? Did you realize that before?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what's funny is when you messaged me, when you sent me the message and said it, I was like, I can see where he thought that. You know what I mean? Like, clear player. Like, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I see what the fuck John was thinking. And isn't it funny that even back then, Busy Bone isn't on the fucking Mo Thug track? Was he on the? Yeah. Was he on the Family Tree one with all the Mo Thugs? I know he's on the just the Bone one.
Yeah, I think he. I'm pretty sure he is, but I'm not positive. That's a good question. Wouldn't that be something if we find out he wasn't? I for some reason I feel like he was, but wow.
I'm gonna have to take a look. I'm gonna have to take a look because that.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to look that up.
And while you're looking at that, so that was so Sin's verse I thought was like busy with something in his throat, but it was Sin, which makes sense now that I think about it. And then just seeing all the Posse tracks that I've never really seen it talked about much on the boards. Like what I mean by that is Shots to the Double Glock, Family Scriptures, The Other Side outro, and then Mo Thug Family Tree. And by the way, this is another interesting tidbit. Mo Hart is not on Family Tree. He's not on Mo Thug Family Tree.
Peep this. Mo Thug's Family Tree goes Crazy Bone, Trey, Tony Tone, Boogie Night, Lazy Bone, Cat Cody, Jazz, Brina, Ken Dog with Trey, more Trey, Soulja Boy, Trey, Sin, Tombstone, Gates, original Graveyard Shift, Gates, Crazy Bone, and that's the end of the song, bro.
Whoa. No Busy on anything Mo Thug. Was he on It's All Mo Thug, the song? It's All Mo Thug. It's all Mo. I think he's on that one.
I mean, I'm sure he's on that, but there's nobody from Mo Thugs on the fucking song.
Yeah, good point. Okay.
You know what I mean? What? He's got a Mo Thugs tattoo. He's shouted out Mo Thugs a lot. Like, it's not weird that he says Mo Thugs. Like, it's always been weird to me that, like, I'm like, wow, Busy Bone's got this tatted on his flesh since way back. He always says it. It's always been weird to me that he wasn't, you know, on any Mo Thugs shit. And literally the only Mo Thugs connection I can make outside of his tattoos and him saying it is the Trials and Tribulations video. Have you seen him on any other besides, like, you know, Mo Thug West and weird shit like that, but like the original shit? That's it.
Yeah, it's almost like he's intentionally avoiding these Mo Thug tracks because I don't. Obviously, he wasn't on Family Scriptures or Other Side Outro, whereas Mo Hart was on Other Side Outro, and the other Poetic Hustlers were not on Other Side. Just Mo Hart, whereas Mo Hart was not on Mo Thug Family Tree. So that's kind of just strange how that all worked out like that. And I'll give you a Mandela effect also. When we've talked about that Trials and Tribulations video with Busy in it, my memory of it was that Busy was just in it for like a couple of shots. But when I watched it again the other day, he was in it a whole lot. And I feel like Fleshbone, like I didn't realize Fleshbone was in the video. And
Flesh is in it?
Yeah.
Flesh is sitting there kicking. What's weird is with I heard you mention Romeo, so now I want to say it. What's weird with the Flesh thing is, like, I never hear people talk about Flesh being in that video because I think it's such a big deal that Busy's in it, and you're like, well, Flesh was a Mo Thug, so it's cool. But I'm like, yo, it's fucking dope that Flesh was in it too. They had Flesh and Busy in their video, and then Romeo right at the end with a quick piano cameo.
Yeah. And I didn't my memory of it didn't have them in it as much as they were. So as I'm watching it again, I'm like, wow, they're in this video a whole lot more than I remember. So I got Mandela affected on Trials and Tribulations, but it was very enjoyable watching that as well as the Day and Night video. Both of those videos are really good videos for the time period.
I'll tell you too what I enjoyed about the Trials and Tribulations cameo by Busy is, man, Busy was going hard in the video. Like, I thought like Busy was like performing in the video. I'm like, I don't know what it is that made Busy want to, be in this one, but yeah. I'm glad he was, because I love that one, and I'm like, if you were sitting there just doing a cameo, I'm like, I can dig it, because I don't see any way that you could have been sitting there hearing that song and watching, and feeling that vibe. You could tell that on those church steps they were vibing, and I'm like, there was no way for Busy to just stand there and look cool. You just had to, give your cameo everything.
Yeah, and before, like years before we did Beyond the Harmony, we used to do our own questions of the day together on our little talks, and I think one time we did, what is your most favorite cameo appearance in a music video? And I think either you or I said, when Busy Bone showed up in Trials and Tribulations, that's my absolute favorite cameo of all time. Do you remember when we had that convo?
Yeah. I think mine was either that one, because I think that is like, that shit blew my mind the first time I saw it. So I can't remember if I said that one or the first time I saw the video Notorious, which is after Biggie died. Lil' Kim, Puffy, and Notorious have a song called Notorious. No, Notorious. And at the end of that, I mean, I am talking the most cameo-driven music video you've ever seen in your fucking life. Crazy Bone holding up a champagne glass as the camera pans by. And I remember seeing that as a kid, like when the video came out, and I was just like, oh, fuck yeah. So it was one of those two. I don't remember which one I picked, but those two are probably my all-time favorites. A non-Bone cameo that I love, by the way, is 3-6 Mafia in the We Don't Give a Fuck video during the Crazy Bone verse. When they panned by 3-6 Mafia, I was like, fuck yes, because I don't know if you're not allowed to like 3-6 Mafia still, but I've loved 3-6 Mafia for a long time. I didn't in the day. In the day, it was fuck them, but by then I was really a 3-6 fan, and I was real excited when I saw that little cameo too.
If you do a Google search, and I don't know if you ever play the autofill trick, but if you type in 8 so many, if you just type in 8 so many, Google autofill fills in shrimp got iodine poisoning. I tried it once. I was like, man, I wonder if I type in 8 so many, and I just typed 8 so many, and it autofilled the rest, and I almost fell out of my chair. But speaking of cameos, I think as of recent, the E40 Yup video choices did Bone have a cameo in that video? Do you remember?
I don't think.
It seemed like everybody had one.
I don't think any of the Bone guys did. Snoop had the longest motherfucking kiss. Snoop showed up and was like, "Nah, you ain't just gonna put me in one of those screens. I'm gonna kick it with you the whole time. I'm gonna kick it with you the whole time, Uncle." And he fucking just sat there and rocked it. But yeah, no, everybody had one. Tech Nine, maybe was Crazy Bone in there? Maybe Crazy Bone was. It seems like something Crazy Bone would have done.
Well, because E40 did do a track on Thug Mentality '99. You know, as a collabo, we stopped as we chased them. I think it was Gangsta Boo was on the track too, right? E40 and Gangsta Boo. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
They got some connection to E40. I wonder how long E40's been doing it. I wonder if he predates Bone, because like I found out about E40 early in like '93 when the Mailman came out, Captain Savaho, and I think that predates Bone maybe. And wouldn't that be something if we found out that E40 predates Bone? Because he kind of rapped fast. He rapped strange. Like he had like all slang and weird words that he used, but it was all kind of fast as well. So that's something to look into.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure E40 was around pre-Bone. I mean, I don't know for sure. I'm sure a Google search would fucking tell me this real quick.
And but E40 has like that real old history too before he was super famous. And then you know, around that same time, this is a strange timing for it. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, that's kind of strange. Spice One came out with an album, America's Nightmare, and there's a song called Sing the Blues on it, and he's rapping real fast on it. And it was right when I got Creeping on a Come Up. So I remember thinking, I'm like, how did Spice One just like, was this the last song he recorded before they pressed this album? Because it was so close to Bone. And like Outkast kind of rapped a little fast on like Players Ball and Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music. And they kind of came the same time. But Spice One, I was like, wow, how did he, because he wasn't really known for being fast at that time. He kind of is now. But they're like the first two Spice One albums, he's not really rapping fast. It's not till his third album, America's Nightmare, and just that one song, he was rapping fast. So you guys check that track out too, and look at the release date of it in comparison to when Creeping on a Come Up came out. It's just like it's the sound just kind of hit, you know. And although Fushnikins had been doing it prior, and not Snow the Product, but Snow the Informer, and DOC. In fact, here's a ruthless question I have for you. This might have been before your time, but did you have DOC, No One Can Do It Better, the album?
Yeah, I had it, but it was like after the fact, like not in that time period. I got it after the fact, like when I got on I got on the, because there's a little age gap between us, so I didn't get on the Ruthless train until like after the fall of Ruthless Records. You know what I mean? Bone kind of put me on to that shit. So then after, of course I become a big Bone fan, so you automatically, back then, now it's so easy to be like, nah, fuck Ruthless. But back then you were like, yo, Eazy-E, Ruthless Records. So of course, that's how I ended up getting into DOC and, NWA and Cold 187 by the way, I went on to do shows with Big Hutch. Did a show with Big Hutch, so
did.
Dreams come true, kids. Cold 187 but yeah, so I didn't get into that shit until after the fact.
Well, there was a song on No One Can Do It Better on that album. Yeah, No One Could Do It Better was the album. The song's called Portrait of a Masterpiece, and that album dropped I think like in '88 or '89. So I'm like 10 years old. And he rapped for the time period really fast on that song. And I remember my infant mind just trying to process the fast rapping and thinking like, all right, someday when I get older, I'm going to have to learn how to process this speed. And at the very same time, Kumo D came out with a song called I Go to Work Like an Architect. And it's really fast. And so like those two songs were training my mind to be prepared for Bone when they came out. And Queen Latifah had a song called Latifah's Had It Up to Here, and she's rapping kind of fast on that. And in her crew, the flavor unit, Tretch isn't really acknowledged for being a fast rapper, but you go back and listen to OPP and even like Hip Hop Hooray, he's rapping kind of fast on those. So I would include Tretch in some of the... Although when he does it with like Bone, it sounds a little funny, but when he does it Naughty by Nature style, it sounded fine at the time period.
Yeah. Here's what's interesting about, I think about this with like rap music all the time. I'm like, nothing's really interesting or blows you the fuck away. And even the shit that like blows people away, I'm like, well, I came up on the fucking 90s hip hop, so I've heard and seen it all. So even the shit that's supposed to be like, blows people away, I mean, it just doesn't, right? Any antic at all. There's guys out there that like, they're known for starting beef. I know you don't fuck with the new hip hop, but there's a guy, Tekashi 6ix9ine, and it's like, I think the fact that he trolls and makes beef makes him a bigger thing than any of his music. And people are just like, it's so crazy. And I'm like, bro, I came up during East Coast, West Coast, motherfucker, where people were literally getting killed over this fucking shit. So there's nothing that surprises me anymore. But, back then, if somebody jumped on a record and they had a fast rhyme, and it was delivered right, because there was nothing worse than any rhyme that's delivered poorly. But when somebody would get on there and bust that fast rhyme, not everybody did it. And for you to hear it was even less, right? Because there might have been a lot of people busting fast rhymes, but we didn't have the fucking internet, really. You didn't hear all that shit, So it was like, it always blew you away versus now nothing really blows motherfuckers away. So they don't even care about that. But it's like, I remember that feeling of hearing Bone or just anybody with, a different rhyme pattern, and you were like, yo, this is the craziest shit ever. And you went to all your friends' house and you played every single one of them the fucking thing. Everybody.
Yeah, and before Bone, I remember me and all my hip hop friends, we would argue who the fastest rapper was. And it always came down to two guys. And we would say it was either Chip Fu from the Fu-Schnickens or, watch this, Tongue Twister. And this is the same guy that later on became Twista, Speed Not Mobsters, Do or Die. But when he first came out, his name was Tongue Twister. And his claim to fame was that he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for saying the most lyrics per minute, right? But his album, the Tongue Twister album, not Adrenaline Rush, way before that, you couldn't understand anything he was saying. And he didn't even sound like the Twister that you hear now. He had a way different voice back then. And it was just like, man, he's saying a lot of words, but I don't understand them. Whereas like Chip Fu, he was so fast, you couldn't really understand him either, but you could kind of make out words. So I still give the crown to Chip Fu over Tongue Twister, but Twister outlasted.
And I know you're talking about a time too, and like I think that's when like Twista was in his first deal. He was with Steve Rifkin, and I just don't think that and I mean, Steve's a fucking genius. I mean, he did a lot with everything from 3-6 to Bone to, so many people, right? But it's like, it was also one of his first artists. In fact, Twista might have been like his first, I think that was his first or second big, thing to happen. And it was Twista's debut. And I just don't think motherfuckers knew how to get the direction. I think he put that first Tongue Twister record out. He left Steve. He got his next deal, and I think he got a lot of direction. And they were like, "Bro, you know what I mean? Like, fast is good, but nobody's believing it if they don't think you're saying real fucking words, bro. Like, come on, tighten up. You can go a couple syllables slower, and if people know it's real, then you're good. Right now, it's kind of sounds."
There was a promo in I used to get the newspaper. It was the Miami Herald. And it was wrapped up. It was a record. This is when I had a record player. I had a tape deck, but records were still the primary medium at the time. And it was a McDonald's record, but you could bend it. It was like bendy. It was like a piece of paper. It was a piece of paper, and if you put it on your record player, it had grooves. And if you put your needle on it, it would make sound. And it was McDonald's promotion at the time. They had somebody make a song where it was really fast, and it was the whole McDonald's menu. It was like Big Mac McDLT, quarter pounder with some cheese, but it was so super fast. And I remember I used to try to memorize that as well, just to like help advance my brain process words faster. And a lot of kids at school tried to memorize. That may have been before your time, but that McDonald's song was pretty dope. And at the same time, to give an idea of the time period, the guy that did the Micro Machines commercials, I don't know if you remember that guy. He used to sound like a an auctioneer. Get the micro. Do you remember those Micro Machine commercials with that guy?
Yeah, I kind of remember what you're talking about now that you say that. I mean, I would have been little for that shit. Little.
Well, I wonder, has Bone ever done as a comedy act like an auction? And have you ever been to a live auction with a real auction guy that talks real fast? Like, I got to get 4. Yeah. I'd like to see a Bone auction. Did anybody do a meme of that online? I remember somebody did it. But
that would be funny. I wish they would. It'd be funny if Bone held their own auctioning off like rare Bone artifacts, but like they were the auctioneers.
Yeah, speaking of that, I was seeing a lot of people grumble this week because it's actually been a full year now, since New Waves came out, and not only New Waves but Eternal Legend and Thug Brothers 2. Time has flown by, and last June, 3 weeks in a row, it was Thug Brothers 2, Eternal Legend, or maybe it was New Waves and then Eternal Legend, but they came out back to back, 3 weeks in a row of Bone releases, that was like Christmas to me every single week. But we've been a year now, and I don't know if the Number One Assassin mixtape came after Lazy Bone's Number One Assassin. And I guess this year they've released, have both of the Mo Thug greatest hits come out yet officially on disc?
Yeah, they're on iTunes. This recording's happening as of June 12th, and I believe it was June 8th or 9th. One of them that it was they were scheduled to start shipping. So they're both on iTunes, and they are supposed to be shipping them out, the physicals.
Okay. So far in 2018, well, I guess Number One Assassin might have been October. I feel like it came out in October 2017, but I could be wrong. But Bone may fall behind their little quarterly release because I did the math, and it seems like they release at least one product on average per quarter. And they kind of did it all bunched together last year, all in June. Here we are a year later, and outside of the greatest hits, outside of the Number One Assassin, have any other releases occurred? I can't think of any.
Lazy Bone just did the his 420 mixtape.
Oh, okay.
He released a mixtape on 420, and then it depends on how deep you're diving in. If you're just talking Bone, then that might be it. But like Kane's released a bunch.
Stu D's, didn't you send me a?
Yeah,
you sent me like a Stu D's album.
Stu just released the 316. So there's a bunch of affiliates putting shit out, but yeah, Lazy Bone is two mixtapes, which mixtapes are never like a Bone thing to me. In fact, when Crazy Bone did the first fix tape, which the fix tapes became more like an album, you know what I mean, like beats he owned. But the very first fix tape, if you remember, I mean, they were on a bunch of jacked beats, and I was like, wow, this is different to hear Bone doing a mixtape. Which and when the fix tape came out, I mean, mixtapes were fucking common like socks. But it was still weird to hear Bone do it. And even now, I mean, they haven't done a lot of them. I see a lot of unofficial ones out there, but like Bone mixtapes. So it was kind of cool to see Lazy Bone do a couple of them. Yeah,
absolutely. And now that we pointed out all these other releases, to any of the fans out there that were grumbling, where are the releases? At least you got those. And I think there have been a few singles here and there that have come out as well. So a few leaks, a few tracks. So it's a different market now. And in fact, releasing albums now, just traditionally, I think I almost wonder if new people, like younger people, don't even think about albums anymore. If it's just about singles to them, because to me, I still think of albums. And if you release a single, eventually that's got to make it onto an album.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think in today's market, if you're established, Kendrick Lamar, guys like that, they're waiting for your album. J. Cole, your fans are waiting. If you don't have a fan base like that, they don't care that you're dropping an album. You know what I mean? You need those singles. And I mean, I think that's always been the way, but it's like, I mean, not even to this extent. Just because you got the streaming services and shit like that, so it's so easy to jump around. I mean, that was the other thing in the day. You were committed, right? You were gonna put your $10 to $20 up for an album. You know, you were committed to that. Now I can $10, I can stream, I can check your album out. It's a piece of shit. I'm skipping it. Versus when you bought an album before, even if you didn't, you know, even if you weren't immediately grabbed by it, you owned it. You know, you were gonna listen to it more than once. You know, it might grow on you. It might grow on you to the point that you love it. But now with streaming services, you're just like, nah, fuck this. On to the next.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a Bone track, I'll still buy the single. Heck, I keep buying these affiliate singles. Not even affiliates, like just people that feature Crazy Bone. I bought so many Crazy Bone features. I think that's like my whole. And the hard part about it is on an iPhone, they don't put it all under Crazy Bone, so I can't just let it. I have to create a playlist to let it all just play, because it's all under each individual artist. And the way, I mean, maybe I don't know how to work it, but it won't play artist after artist after artist unless it's on like some kind of shuffle mode. So
I really I want to encourage people to, I mean, dude, like Kane is kicking ass, man. Kane's got so much merch. Kane puts out a lot of singles. He just put out a new single called Trust Nobody. So, I mean, I definitely encourage all our listeners, make sure you're, you know, supporting guys like Kane. Smokey the Bandit does a lot. Bloodline Harmony, they're working on a lot. You know, Position. So there's a lot of affiliates right now doing it. But dude, my heaviest cosign behind Kane, bro. Kane gets so much love for me because that guy is he grinds times a million. He's not happy just being a you know, a Bone affiliate. He really is fucking like, he's like, I'm working hard. I want to be. I don't even think it's in his mind like, yo, I want to be bigger than Bone. I think in his mind it's like, yo, I also want to carry this fucking legacy, and I need to get up to the level that I can grab hold of the reins with them and do this. And I do think that that's been a thing in the past, that it's like, yo, is the concern that you're trying to use Bone as your stepping stone. We're not fixing to let you do that. And that could be the approach, you know, of an artist. Who knows? But I don't get that with Kane at all. I'm like, dude, Kane wants to be, you know, Bone Thug for life. Do whatever he can to hold the brand down.
Oh yeah, as we had talked, he's definitely the standout artist from the Life, and as I said in another video, that song "The Land" is just killing it. I mean, he handled his own, but you know, there's a new Bone affiliate out there, Blaze, and he's on the come up too. So Kane better watch out. Blaze is creeping on the come up.
Yeah, Blaze is cool. I'd like to hear like a Blaze Kane feature. I think that would be dope. Two young dudes, and I think they both do a good job, so that would be cool. Blaze and Kane. Who knows? Maybe Busy will restart Seventh Sign, and we'll see Blaze with the new Seventh Sign. Also, I sent you some. I don't know if you ever got a chance to check them out, but the Get Addicted Mafia and they're part of the Life. It's like a husband wife combo, and they do like super West Coast shit. I don't know if you check them out. I checked out a ton of their shit. It's like old school, like West Coast, and you know, his wife sings and stuff. So
wow,
yeah. So it's just like, it's all the shit about like West Coast that you like. It's like the old West Coast beats. You know, I'm sorry guys, I don't know their names yet. They're pretty new, you know, to me. I think they've been signed with the Life for a little bit now because I see them doing a lot. But I'm just getting into their music, so I don't know their individual names yet. But he kind of raps, you know, like an older West Coast style, which is cool. She sings and stuff. I mean, they're cool. I dig their style too. Crazy's the Life roster right now is fucking really good, man.
So the other day when I was driving home, I did send you a voice message about, something came across my mind, and I was like, wow, I got to listen to Ja Rule Holla Holla, thinking that maybe it was like Allah backwards. And as I'm listening to the verse, trying to see if there was a hidden message in it, I thought I heard Ja Rule diss the whole Mo Thugs on Holla Holla, but that's not what he said. So
Not what he says,
I'm.
but I think people thought that though for a long time. Like when you said it to me, it wasn't even like, "What the fuck are you thinking?" I mean, I think even back in the day, you know, people were like, "Yeah, I think he's dissing Mo Thugs. Show no love to the whole Mo Thugs." He does say, "Show no love to them homo thugs," in case you guys didn't know. But I do think that was a thing in the day. Allah, Allah.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, because even homo thugs could still be. But I was like, why would Ja Rule? Like, when did he ever have any kind of beef with Bone that I never heard about? So I don't know. But yeah, apparently that wasn't what he was saying. But it was funny as I'm driving. I'm looking for one thing and I'm like, whoa, what did he just say? And I had to rewind it a few times, but that's just kind of weird. So if you guys listen to Holla Holla again, I think it was on the third verse. No, it was the second verse, near the end of it. Check out what Ja Rule says. But yeah.
We are still waiting for Mo Hart to call in. He's off probably searching for peace. So he hasn't called in yet. But we are still anticipating Mo Hart calling in tonight on tonight's episode. Until that happens, it's two dope boys in the Cadillac. Beat, motherfucker.
So one of the things I saw on the BT&H board a while back, I don't remember if I asked the question or somebody else asked, but somebody asked, what were some of the other songs before Faces of Death that Bone had released, if anybody knew? Because sometimes you got people from Cleveland from back in the day. So some of the names that came up, and I don't know if any of this is true, but this is what came up. We had The Enterprise, Band-Aid Boys, Double Glock Style. That would be cool to hear. Mob for Money featuring one of the Poetic Hustlers. Oh, how did we miss that for our questions? Slugs and Thugs featuring Half Pint. That one sounds so random that sounds like that's probably true. SCT, I guess that's St. Clair Thugs featuring Ken Dog and Scampbone. So if anybody has any...
What? These are... I missed what you said. These are supposed to be fucking songs that they made like before Bone Enterprise?
Yeah, either songs before Faces of Death or that weren't on Faces of Death or maybe after Faces of Death. But these songs, one of them contains one of the Poetic Hustlers. So we'll ask Mo Hart if it was him. Although I would guess it's Boogie Nike, just based on the special thanks. You know, because Boogie Nike is in the special thanks, but I don't see.
Yeah.
Actually, Tony Tone might be in the special thanks too. I don't know. But yeah, so six potential songs.
I mean, listen, this is always what it comes down to for me, right? I'm always like, I understand that there was a time period where you could just say that these songs existed, you know, and it was just easy to go, well, they did exist. I mean, we don't have them now. But now I'm like, bro, I'm in touch with people from Cleveland all the time. I mean, shit, we had Jason Bibb on and somebody produced a fucking t-shirt that he made in high school. You're telling me nobody's got a copy of Slugs and Thugs or whatever the fuck? Like, where the fuck are all these songs if everybody knows the names of these songs? Where the fuck? Nobody's even got a clip. I mean, we got a clip of Eazy-E on Mr. Bill Collector, and nobody's got a fucking clip of fucking Slugs and Thugs and the Enterprise.
Yeah, but the reason it's believable is that, you know, talking with Archie last week, we found out he's got a ton of songs. Speaking with Romeo, he's got a ton of songs. Soldier Boy has a ton of songs. So it seems, and K Chill said I think he might have said that either him or Kermit had some tracks. So it seems like there's people out there that do have some real vintage, some pre-Bone Ruthless songs out there. And it would be great to hear some of them, no matter what they sound like.
Hey, fucking clips. Send me clips. BeyondTheHarmony99@gmail.com. Clips or it didn't happen. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I wish I should have screen capped some of those people's names that had it. But if you are interested in looking any of this up out there, just type in The Enterprise, Band-Aid Boys, Double Glock Style, Mob for Money, Slugs and Thugs, SCT featuring Ken Dog and Scampone into the BT&H board search feature. That thing has been pretty helpful. I've been using the search feature on Facebook groups a lot lately, and I recommend doing that to get with the guys that brought that up. I had just kept some notes on it a while back and just wanted to bring those up. So, Who knows?
I just went and looked, by the way. I do see Tony Tone in the thank yous on Bone Enterprise. And then, of course, they also thank Boogie Knight, Nite, right? Who we all assume is Boogie Knight. There's a question when we have Boogie on, which I'm sure will happen. We'll have to ask where that name change came from.
Right.
But so yeah, I do see them on there, and who knows if Mo Hart's in there without his name. You know, I also see that in the Faces of Death, they put thanks to the motherfucking Mo Thug organization, but Mo has an exclamation point after it. That's the only other time I've seen it besides Mo Hart's name. I've never seen, like, Family Scriptures Up, them ever put an exclamation point after Mo. The only time I saw it was in Mo Hart's name, and now in the Faces of Death thank yous.
The only thing I could think of, and this may be before your time, but Yo MTV Raps, it used to be Yo, exclamation mark, MTV Raps, and Fab Five Freddy used to go put a stamp on it. So maybe, 91, right? 91 to 93. Yo MTV Raps, I think, was still on. Yeah, definitely. Yo MTV Raps was certainly still on the air at the time. So maybe they got it from that. Because I think even when Dr. Dre and Ed Lover took over the show, it was still called. It went from being called Yo MTV Raps to just Yo, I think. I think they changed the name to just Yo MTV Raps.
It's pretty interesting, but I also see here in looking at, as long as we're talking this Faces of Death again, this always happens. I see Archie in here, of course. We know he produced on it, but he also shout out Big Daddy Coalition, which was Archie's crew, and he says that Bone Enterprise was part of the Big Daddy Coalition, so that is in there. I also see that they shout out Money Loke 1, and I sent you a cover of a Jamit Stonyberg artist called Mr. Money Loke, and the album was called No Fear, No Pain. And he has his hands open, and in the hands he's got crushed copies of the covers of Faces of Death. So I'm wondering if it's the same one. His cover says Mr. Money Loke, and in their thank yous it says Money Loke 1.
Wow. Huh.
So we might have to find out what
cover again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find out, I guess, what Mr. Money Loke's deal was.
Did you ever throw that cover past K Chill or anybody else?
I found out about it after. Actually, a listener pointed it out to me in one of our comments. Okay, and I threw it at K Chill and I said, "Hey, you know what the fuck? What's this? What the fuck is this about?" And he goes, "Bro, I forgot all about that, man. I forgot all about that, the whole thing." And he's like, Kermit was a genius, and Kermit had to do a lot of stuff. By the way, I just got a message on my phone. Mo Hart says he's going to be calling in here very, very shortly, and apologized about the delay. So we'll have Mo Hart, and shit, I didn't even notice, but we sweep through 48 minutes. It's nothing. I feel like I've been talking Bone for like 5 fucking minutes with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mr. Money Loke. Yeah, I'll send you that cover again. We might have to find out if he's the same one in the thank yous and what the fuck his problem was with Bone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially Faces of Death, to be like hating on that album is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
you can't. Oh, and how you gonna be mad that quickly? Like you're not even crushing like the Creeping on the Come Up cover.
Yeah.
You're crushing Faces of Death. Like, you were that mad that quick.
Wow. Faces of Death. But yeah, I during the research I was doing yesterday, I seen, and if I saw it, I only saw it once, and I probably saw it when it aired on television. Yeah. But Flesh and Bone with Crazy Bone and Lazy Bone, Player Hater, live on, I think it was Planet Groove.
Yeah.
On did I send that to you?
Oh, I've seen it like so many years. I used to have that on a fucking VHS.
Yeah, man. When I saw that, as we've been doing this show, I've been thinking to myself, I'm like, man, how do I still think about Bone 20 plus years later? And when I saw that, and when I watched all the Poetic Hustler stuff, I was like, oh man, this is why. There was a period of time where this stuff was absolute pure magic, and that performance was certainly that, and especially if it was on New Year's Eve. And that took me back. Like I said, I was floating yesterday, just going through all this old stuff from that period of time. That period is the best. I mean, there's all this better stuff that they might have done afterwards, but that period and looking at those pictures of crazy of the group of the five, where it was Crazy, Mo Hart, Thug Queen, Felicia, and Soulja Boy. There was a few photo shoots of that. I think like that was the absolute pinnacle post Bone moment right there. Like when Crazy was making his own empire.
That was the crew that Crazy brought on, like Soul Train or something. Was Mo? I guess maybe Mo Hart wasn't there, but I feel like those photos. Like those photos were taken like the same day as the Soul Train appearance.
Ah, okay, yeah, they performed Mighty Mighty Warrior on the Soul Train.
I mean, it looked. I mean, the outfits. I mean, Soulja Boy's got the staff in a bunch of those photos. Andy had it live, which I didn't see that a lot. So I feel like those were taken, if not the same day, close to. But I don't remember seeing Mo Hart at that, on that live shit. But that doesn't mean he was there. It looked like that was about to be like the little crew for a second.
Yeah, that would have been a really cool look. I mean, obviously, as Bone fans, you want it to always be Bone Thugs and Harmony, but they do other side things.
You know what's weird? Oh shit! You know what's weird? That Soulja Boy says, initially he was gonna be a Night Rider. That kind of became the initial Night Riders. I'm pretty sure, because Romeo told us that Felicia was gonna be a Night Rider for like a half second. We know Thug Queen was, Mo Hart was. Of course, Crazy Bone was. So was that like just the Night Riders like hanging out out of costume?
Right, exactly. And that period of time,
that's what I'm saying.
Crazy.
Were they a group? Were they a group the whole time and you didn't know it? Like superhero shit? Like you didn't even know you were looking at a group that's a real group. You're like, oh, this was about to be a group. No, they were a group, motherfucker. They just were Clark Kent in it.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, man, that would have been really cool. And that was that time period was Crazy, kind of establishing himself as a solo artist, building his empire with like his artists that kind of went with him, and it was just cool. And especially seeing those photos and just remembering that time, and not only that, this is what it was. I was looking back on it, and that was when, and you don't get this as much from Crazy. He was at his like creative peak, where I feel like he's toned it down a bit. But that Night Riders is so far out there, and not only was the songs really strange, that live performance that's captured on film, the body language that they had on that live set, that was really interesting and cool and theatrical. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
they had like all these pirate poses, and they knew how to move with their costumes, and I always thought that was really neat. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought that was cool. But there's that, Ghetto Cowboy, all the different types of songs, all the stuff with Mariah.
People only didn't like it because they found out it was Crazy Bone. I can remember everyone kind of digging the Night Riders thing until they found out that a member was Crazy Bone, and then people weren't about it. But when the mystery was there and people didn't know who it was, everybody liked the shit, bro. And I don't know if it's just like they didn't want Crazy Bone to be in it, or if it ruined all the mystery to find out who they were, or what the fuck the issue was. But it was almost like as soon as people were able to confirm that's Crazy Bone, they were out of it. And I was like, well, bro, I mean, I knew it was Crazy Bone on the first fucking song. Like, you can tell who else raps like that except Crazy Bone. Who gives a fuck that they did that to his voice? Have you ever heard anybody do that shit? I mean, it's crazy to the max, and I was still loving it.
What's funny that you say that. I think I even was one of those people that kind of got disappointed when I found out it was Crazy Bone as well. But then once I heard it and I listened to it again, I was like, oh man, how did I not figure that out? Because then you could just hear it. Once somebody tells you, it's like Where's Waldo or Curious George. You see it after you're told about it, And so yeah, even I think might have gotten disappointed only because I was like, well, man, you got a limited amount of time to make songs. You know, make sure you make the good stuff. And Night Riders is cool, but yeah, Night Riders is all that creativeness. I just wish Crazy would kind of like recapture that particular time period where anything he did was just absolute gold. And not that that's not happening now, but I feel like he does like a lot of just rap songs now. He's not doing as many creative type tracks that he used to do in the past, but that's just me. Although Chasing the Devil was pretty unique.
Yeah, and did I see, maybe it was just a rumor. Did I see that there's a real volume 2 of that they're talking about? I mean, I know that that's always been like there's like 2 or 3 volumes, but did I see recently that that'll be upon us soon, or was that just fans talking?
Well, I don't know if there's a release date, but Chasing the Devil, the one that we have is Chasing the Devil: Temptations. And so it's part of a series. I think he said it's 3 albums. And when that was announced, it was around the time that E40, remember he dropped like the Block Report part 1 through 6 all at once or something?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like around that time period. I don't know what the name of the next Chasing the Devil is, but they're all Chasing the Devil, a name, like a movie, like Alien Resurrection, for Apocalypse. You know, there's all like movies with names like that now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, you know, you were talking about 187 and bucket lists and stuff. There was a time, I don't remember if I called him or if Rob Worth called, but he said, yeah, no, it was Rob. He told me, he's like, hey, I called Cole 187 him, and I could hear your song in the background playing, Ride Again.
Shit.
And I was like, he's like, and he didn't even know I was calling. He just had it playing in the background. I was like, hey, is that Mr. Libby playing in the background? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, Cole 187 is playing my track in the background.
I'll tell you, when I met Cole 187 and we did that show with him, that guy was just such a cool, humble guy. He gave us a lot of good advice, a lot of information. We'll have to save that for a different time. I think I see Mo Hart on here. Let's take a look.